We're live.
We're live. Here we go.
I think we're live.
We think we're live. This is what we call our dumpster fire. We are just learning. So thank you for joining us today. I'm Jessica Cardon, and this is
Tommy.
Behind the Scenes. Tommy Cardon, my husband. So all of our videos that you see, he is the guy that makes them look amazing. He is the guy that he's our producer.
I'm the guy that's been crashing the stream.
This is our third time getting our stream up and going, but that's all right. We are learning as we go because this is week 2 for us. I am Jessica Cardon, your nosy neighbor with Murdock Manwaring Company here at Keller Realty, East Idaho. And Tommy's my husband. And we are working on making sure we are doing a live once a week to give you updates on all the things that are going on in Southeast Idaho. Well, not all the things, but some fun things that are going on in Southeast Idaho. I'm going to work on making sure that we get some cool things that you might want to know. So if you have not subscribed, go over and subscribe or follow us and come back because we should be live every week giving you little updates. And we hope that you will join us. By the way, I'm a real estate agent here in Southeast Idaho. So if you are looking to sell your home or buy a home, I would love to help you. I'd love to chat about that. So we are going to talk today about, we're going to do a weekly real estate update. So last week, we did a full monthly recap. So once a month, we're going to do the market update, which is all of the stats, what happened in the month previously. But then once a week, we're just going to give you a little update, a little bit of a little nibble on what happened in the past week in real estate. And Tommy gave me some tips because our sound may have not been amazing last week. So you can see I've got a new microphone. And also I'm going to work on talking slower because I can get really excited about real estate stats and I can get really nerdy. And so I get talking fast and
you've got a lot of good things to say.
I just love it. I love talking about real estate. I love educating people about real estate. I think everybody is curious about real estate. I don't know very often that someone finds out I'm a real estate agent that they don't want to ask me how the market is. And so I know it applies to everybody. It's one of my favorite things about my job. We impact lives through real estate. And so anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about that stuff, but the second thing we're going to talk about is something that's kind of crazy going on in Southeast Idaho right now. The Chad Daybell trial. If you're not following that, if you're not following what's going on, is we had a horrific, terrible tragedy where Chad and Tammy Daybell, well, I guess I can't say they did. Chad and Lori Daybell, Lori Vallow Daybell, are accused of murdering her children and Chad's wife and to be together. Lori had her trial last year and she was convicted. Chad is in the midst of the trial right now. So as of right now, the prosecution has rested and the defense starts on Monday. So it's an exciting time. There was a little real estate fact that happened inside of the trial this week. So I wanted to kind of tell you a little about that, to bring a little controversy. And it's pretty interesting. Thirdly, we're going to just talk about a little tip about, every week I'm going to want to give you some kind of real estate tip for sellers or buyers. Today, we're going to talk about how do you determine what your starting price is? If you're thinking about selling, how do I figure out what price to start at? Because everyone has an idea where they want to start. So how do I determine what the right market value is to attract buyers, but yet still get the most money? So we'll talk a little bit about that. And we're going to bring up a few things that are happening this week in Southeast Idaho. Cool events, some maybe a little something you might want to know about that's starting or happening. And so we'll cover those. And lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about who we may have visited with the Nosy Neighbors this week. Nosy Neighbors is a fun little thing we do to highlight local businesses. If you aren't following the Nosy Neighbors, if you follow and subscribe to this channel or this page, you're going to see local business highlights. How we determine which businesses we talk about is they must be a local business and be locally owned, and they cannot be a franchise, and they cannot be corporately owned. They could be a corporate business, but the home base has to be here in Southeast Idaho. So we highlight those local businesses. We know the owners of those businesses are the CEO to the janitor, and they have to come up with all of their marketing ideas. They have to decide everything. So we wanted to give them a little bit of help. We market houses all day, every day. We do a lot of social media So we wanted to help them and give that back to the community and be able to help them get a little more business. I know most people want to use a local business and you just don't know what to expect. Sometimes you're like, I want to go in there, but I don't know what it's going to be like, who's going to be there, how much it's going to cost, what do they offer? And so we think down the road, we want to go check it out, but we go back to what we're comfortable with. So hopefully Nosy Neighbors is helping us get past that comfort level and we can start and we can add in all these really fun local businesses. So if you head back over and take a look at the previous videos, you'll see a lot of really, really cool videos about local businesses and the stories behind those. All right, well, let's jump in. We got 5 little sections to cover this week. And let's just start with the stuff that I love, which is our real estate market update. So what happened in real estate in Southeast Idaho? We are covering Bonneville County, Bingham County, and Jefferson counties. Our area covers a lot more than that, but these are the main big ones. We had 40 closings this past week. So just in 1 week, in those 3 counties, we had 40 closings. The high sale was $655 and the low was $130. So that's kind of a range of what happened in closed sales this week. The new listings, new homes that have entered the market. We had 80 new homes. And 9 of those homes are already under contract within that first week. I like to mention that because if you think you're going to put your house on the market and you're going to have to wait and it should be, 30 to 60 to 90 days, no, you can get your home under contract quickly, again, with the right price, which will tie into what we talk about a little bit later. What really is interesting about these two is if we have new listings of 80 and we lost 40, we actually gained inventory, which we really need. We'd like to have more inventory, more houses to choose from. So we added 40 we maintained 40 new homes up to the inventory. Pendings, which means who went under contract. They were active on the market and they came together on a contract. So we had 52 homes go pending from the multiple listing service, which is the MLS. The high, the $1.35 million home went under contract and our low was $59,000. So that gives a really big spread on what went under contract. Now, that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen, that they're going to close, but at least somebody went under contract and came together in an agreement, buyer and seller. What expired or withdrew? So what came off the market not because they closed? We had 10. The average days on market of those homes that expired or withdrawn were 100 days. So on average, they had been on the market 100 days and either the listing agreement expired, I think there was only one of those though, or the seller just said, listen, I haven't gotten the offers I was looking for. I'm not willing to lower my price anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and withdraw from the market. Doesn't mean that they won't come back on the market, but as of this week, we had 10 withdraw from the market. And right now, our current inventory. So in our 3 counties, we have 457 homes on the market to choose from. And here's the breakdown. 48 of those are above $1 million. That's a lot for Southeast Idaho, above $1 million. We've got from 600,000 to 1 million, we've got 83 homes on the market right now. Again, quite a few. But here's the bulk. The bulk of our homes in Southeast Idaho are between 300,000 and 600,000. And there's 265 of those on the market to choose from. Now that's a pretty big, $300,000 of $300,000 in purchase price. So 265 of those homes, that's a pretty big range, which means there's not as many choices in each of those little brackets that you're probably shopping in. And below 300,000, we've got 61 homes. So this gives you just kind of an idea of what's going on in real estate this week and give you a little update. Okay, so let's move on to the juice, the tea. Let's spill a little bit of the tea. Number 1, thank you, East Idaho News and Nate Eaton, who we're friends with, and we just love him. He is doing a fantastic and heavy job following the Daybell case, going to court every day. So if you want to keep up on that, or you don't know what's going on and you want to learn, you can go to eastidahonews.com and there's a big Daybell trial link on there. The reason it's interesting in Southeast Idaho is because this all happened up in Sugar City, which is just north of Rexburg, so about 35 minutes from Idaho Falls. A little teeny farming town, really great people up there, and so it's a big tragedy to see that there was this horrible crime committed in Sugar that with these people. So this is the interesting fact. So I got to quit saying so, by the way. That's the other thing I learned by looking at what I was doing. So is my filler word. we've got Chad Daybell on trial. Tammy Daybell was his wife that mysteriously died. Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow were the kids that were found murdered and buried in Chad Daybell's backyard. And Lori Vallow Daybell is the new wife that I think he married 3 weeks after his wife Tammy mysteriously died. Then also you have Lori, I believe Chad's her 5th husband, and I think all the rest have died. So it is just so much intrigue and so much drama. This week, the prosecution finished presenting their case after 6 weeks, something like 60 to 70 witnesses. It's been just drama, and just unbelievable. Well, this is what we found out through the prosecution testifying, is that Chad Daybell, and you're obviously going to find that I lean toward, I believe Chad is guilty. Chad Daybell has property in where the kids were found buried in the backyard. And as of now, his lawyer owns that property. So I can't imagine how much it costs to defend someone in a capital murder case. And I know that Chad Daybell was not a wealthy guy. And how does he get paid? How does his attorney get paid? And so come to find out, he now owns that property. And we were talking about whether or not that property could ever be resold. How much would you pay for a property that had the terrible, terrible crime committed on it? 2 children being murdered, maybe even, well, what we believe, probably 3 people being murdered, because we might find out that Tammy...
Because don't you have to disclose that?
No, that's a really good question, Tommy. That's a really good question. Is you don't have to. That is not something you have to disclose in the state of Idaho. An adverse material fact is crime on that is not. If you've had drugs manufactured on there, that's when they would say you have to disclose. But having a crime or a suicide is not required.
You don't have to report that.
No.
I thought you did when I got my license. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time, but yeah, no.
And I'm not licensed anymore.
It is not what's called an adverse material fact, which is legally required to be disclosed by a seller. And the realtors that list your house, by the way. If you have an adverse material fact.
Wouldn't you want that to be disclosed?
Well, as a buyer, you might.
I'd want that disclosed.
But that doesn't mean that legally.
I mean, and obviously it's public knowledge,
yeah.
but...
is it public knowledge? I mean, if you want to search for it, but it's not like there's a record somewhere of crimes on those on properties.
That's I would want to know.
Yeah. So kind of interesting.
I would want to know if that, wouldn't you want to know if you're going in to buy a house?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to know. There's a lot of people that ask if anyone's ever died in a house.
Well, something like this, eventually you're probably going to find out.
Possibly. You possibly
would.
And
then how would you feel if you bought a house and you found out? I just think...
I've sold houses that have had crimes committed on the property, and we don't disclose it. And I don't know. As a buyer, would you want to know? And I hiccup. For some reason, when I talk, I hiccup, by the way. But would you want to know that it doesn't change it? Do you not want to buy the property? But
I would want to know to not buy the property.
Yeah,
probably.
So that's a really good idea. Will it affect the value of that home? Will the attorney really get his money to pay his bills if out of that property that he now owns, that house and the 3 and something acres in Sugar City? So interesting, a little interesting fact. But head over to East Idaho News if you want all the details and get informed on that crazy.
And all those links are in the description.
All the links for everything are in the description. Anything we talk about, if we're going to give you a link to talk about it or to take and find out more about it. All right, so let's talk about how do you decide whether your house is overpriced, or how do you decide how to start the price on your home? Let's say you're going to sell. How do you determine? Now, you may want to start at a certain price. And you say, well, I need this money for a certain thing. I hear that a lot. I'm a listing specialist. 90% of my business that I do is listings. How do you decide what that is? Because what is a hard thing for a seller is when they find out that a buyer does not base how much they're going to pay for their house on what the seller needs the money for. Sellers a lot of times will say to me, I need the money for this. I won't have enough money for my next house that I'm buying, or I've got to get this because I need the money to move, but buyers don't take that into account. A buyer doesn't say, well, I know you need the money, so I'll pay more for the house. So when you're looking at determining what to start your price at, we call it the bait on the line. I want to bait a buyer into coming, taking a look and making an offer on my house. You'll still negotiate that price, but how do I get them excited to come and see it and make offers. That's the offer price, the starting price. When you look online and you see houses prices, that does not necessarily mean what they're going to get for the house, but they are putting bait in the water. Hopefully that is their starting price. In the 2021 market, we saw a lot of bidding wars. I have bidding wars on houses that I list today. How does that come about? What do you do to get that happening so that you might get the most money? The more buyers, how you get the most money for your house is the more buyers wanting to buy it. The more traffic, the more urgency, the more competition. That's how you get the most possible money for the house. And your starting price can create that. If it's too high, you miss buyers. If it's right on the money, that would be great. You should be able to get some good traffic. But if you're a little bit under, that's how you get people going, this is the best deal on the market in that price range. And let's all rush in there. And then it's hard to get a showing. And they see other people going in and out. They feel that pressure and urgency to give a really good price. So how do we determine how to get that price, that starting price? We're going to use a home that's kind of the traditional, the middle of the road home in Southeast Idaho. This is what we find is has the most sales, homes within these criteria. Between 2,400 and 3,000 square feet. We learned, by the way, this past week, an interesting fact. Southeast or Idaho is the state with the third largest average home size. So we actually have really big homes.
We have really big homes
in Southeast Idaho. Well, really big, but because we don't have a lot of condos. We don't have smaller homes. I imagine in cities, we don't have a lot of big cities that have lot sizes. Smaller residences.
Pull your mic over just a little bit towards me when you're talking to me.
Okay, there we go.
Awesome. Keep going.
Sorry, we're learning. So anyway, little interesting tip. State of Idaho has the third largest average home size in the United States. So the homes that we're going to look at are 2,400 to 3,000 square feet. They've got to have a 2 or 3 car garage in Idaho because of winter. Garages are important. 2 or 3 car is pretty much standard in Southeast Idaho. Older homes might have a 1 car garage or a carport. They're going to need to be on a lot of a 0.2 to 0.5 acres. That also is a big unique thing to have that much land. Idahoans don't like to live right on top of each other. They like to have a little bit of land. So we see it pretty common to be a 1/4 of an acre to a 1/2 an acre, even in town. And they've got to have at least 2 bathrooms. You'll see some houses in Southeast Idaho have basements. Most houses have basements. So we include finished basements, which means it's completely finished and livable. And if you don't know, that's always a surprise to people when they come to Southeast Idaho. We are big into basements. Most houses have a basement, and not like a scary, creepy, store your creepy things down in the basement or not livable. Real, like we're in a basement right now. And I've got a big, huge, full-size window that has lots of light. We live in our basements, and we like a good, bright basement in Southeast Idaho. So we do finished basements. So let's take a look at what that.
And if you have a basement, is yours finished? Is in the comment?
Yeah.
In the comment, let us know.
Yeah, let us know if you've got a basement,
if you've got a finished basement, or if it's unfinished.
Yeah. And were you surprised if you moved to Southeast Idaho? Were you surprised about basements? And all of a sudden, I get that a lot. What's the deal with basements in Southeast Idaho? Yeah, how many of you are finished basements versus unfinished or no basement? So in the month of April, so I took 1 month of information to compile kind of how this looks. So in the month of April, the average price per square foot of a home with this criteria in our 3 counties sold for, on average, $141.88 per square foot. And we had 16 of those homes sell. So 16 homes sold, and the average amount, they were at an average of $141.88 per square foot. Now, last year in April, in 2023, we had 8 homes that fit that criteria, and on average, they sold for $138. So we're actually up in price per square foot this year over last year. That's what that little section is. So it sold for $141. I'm just going to leave
which it's so interesting to me with all of the things that are happening in the economy that prices are
going
recovering, but they do say that they're still trying to get inflation under control.
Well, they have, when we look at this and we see prices are going up, it really has to do with supply and demand.
Yeah.
We still don't have enough houses. If you have a 3% interest rate, that you really think twice about selling and moving to a 7% interest rate.
But is that unique to Idaho Falls?
It can be. We don't tend to run into the highs and lows that a lot of the rest of the country does. But after 2021, we caught up a lot to the rest of the market. We were no longer the cheapest real estate in the United States. And so we had a big rush.
But we still get a lot of value for what
we don't have that a lot of other places have is we don't have enough new construction. We have a few builders in town that build and do a great job and build as fast as they can build. But in other places, there's a lot more new construction, and we don't have as much of that. So we keep our inventory pretty tight.
Why do you think that is?
It takes time to develop land. You've got to have land developed. We don't have as many developers developing land that builders can pick. And I think people worry about coming to Southeast Idaho. How do you maintain a good profit in Southeast Idaho? You've got to be able to build in the winter and figure that out. So, okay, let's move on. So this is what we sold. The homes in this criteria sold for in April. Now, when I pulled these stats, I looked at the homes that are in this criteria, how many were pending, which means under contract. That means we don't know exactly what it was going to be sold for, but we knew what the price was to get an offer. There were 9 homes pending in this criteria, and on average, their average price per square foot was $158. So interesting. $17 per square foot more, not quite 17, around little 16 and change per square foot more. Now, if you look at that, that doesn't mean that they're not going to end up closer to $141 per square foot. We might find out that if they were longer on the market, they might be down closer to what the actual sold price and sold cost was. But we know the average on the pendings was $158. Then we look at what's active. So if you look at what's active, you're looking at what things are not selling. So if you are pricing your house based on what's active on the market, maybe what you see on one of the websites, and you're seeing active homes. If you say, I'm going to price my home based on what those homes are listed for, because remember, they're not sold. They don't even have an offer on them. They're sitting out there not selling. And that's why sometimes it's hard for a for sale by owner or someone who doesn't have a real estate agent involved, because you don't know what the pending and sold prices are. And those are actually the most important. If you're looking at what's active, you should not follow the same path, or you're going to get the same result. Because now $164 per square foot versus what they're selling for at $141. So there's actually 15 homes sitting on the market in this criteria on average of $164 per square foot. Well, how overpriced are they? Well, if you just average it out and say at 2,800 square feet, $22.81 per square foot difference, they're $63,000 overpriced.
So the question that I have about that is, this is an average, right?
This is an average of, let's say, the 15 homes.
So this is an average of the 15 homes
that are sitting out there on the market. That's where you get that $164.
These could be homes that have been on for a day. They could have been on for 30 days, 60 days. They could be all kinds of, this is just
They are
just
average. Unsold. They are actively available. Yep.
So we don't know the full story. We just know that their average is priced over what's actually sold.
And pending. Because you'll notice, to get pending, they might have to inch down a little bit more. They've got to come down probably another $6 per square foot.
And didn't you say that on the pendings, that those, we don't really know what's going on there either.
Exactly
those might go down under that 158.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And most likely they will. When they end up selling, they may have accepted an offer less. Now, you may have somebody who's out there pending that specific home is priced $140 per square foot, and they may not reduce their price when they sell. But you also might have someone sitting at $164 that got an offer, but they're going to end at $158 or $141.
And we won't know what that offer is until it's pending.
Correct.
It's pending.
Until it's closed. Pending, all you know is what the price was when they accepted the offer. So when you sit down and talk to me about selling your house, I can say, hey, if you want to be pricing your home at $164 per square foot, you're probably going to sit on the market like these guys are. I'm going to probably come and ask you for a price reduction to get your price more in line, at least down to that $158.
Well, and what happens when you sit on the market for that long?
Well, I mean, if you put yourself in the buyer's position, and this is where it gets hard as a seller, you have to take your seller's hat off, and you've got to put your buyer's hat on. If I'm shopping for a house and I look on the market and I have a price range of, say, $25,000, most buyers shop in about a $25,000 price range. And if my $25,000
what do you mean by $25,000? Like
in a price range from
$250 to $275?
$400 to $425.
Okay.
So let's say our budget, let's say I can afford up to 425 on the purchase price.
Yeah.
I'll probably shop between 400 and 425. Because when I get below 400,000, it's a lot different house than a $425,000 house. If I get to 390 to 380, I have a lot less amenities. I have a lot less square footage. I may be older, smaller lot, not a third car garage. So they don't generally go too low.
So if I qualify for $425,000 and I start looking at homes that are $385,000,
You're
and they're
likely
not
not
as
going to be happy.
not really looking, maybe they're not what I'm looking for,
Right.
so I naturally want to bump myself up. What
Right.
happens if I start looking at homes that are above my qualification? Like if I see a house at 500,000 that I want to go look at.
So let's talk about that and just put a pin in that, and let's talk
Okay.
about that in just a second. Because when you're putting your buyer's hat on, thinking about pricing, you have to think about, if I'm a buyer, what am I doing? Because our price is not what we're selling it for. We're trying to offer and trying to get buyers to come in and make an offer on our house. So that bait, right?
Mhm.
So if what my buyer hat is on and I look at houses in my budget, which if they have a real estate agent, they're going to say, stay within your budget. Because the more expensive you go, the better the houses get. They get bigger.
It gets depressing.
They get newer.
It gets depressing because I can't get the house that I want.
Well, you get dissatisfied with what you can afford.
Mhm.
A buyer that shops above their price range get dissatisfied. Now, I've had sellers say, well, we can price high. They can always offer lower.
Yeah.
But they've got an agent saying, don't look at houses that are above your price range, because you're going to fall in love with a house you can't afford. So they're not even seeing your house when you're above the price range. When you're willing to sell for the right price, but you're hoping to, to negotiate in, they're just not even looking. They're not even seeing you in their feed when they get their feed. So
if I'm looking at, and this is kind of when I think it's interesting. So if I know what my price range is, and especially in Idaho Falls, I'm probably going to look at every home in that price range.
Yep.
And I'm going to know every difference.
And you might even walk through them. So
Yeah.
as you look online and you decide which homes you're going to go look at, you're going to look at the pictures and look at the details. And I'll tell you, when you're shopping for a house and you have a budget and you're ready to buy, you are a great appraiser in that moment, because you're going house to house, maybe all in the same day. You're seeing anywhere from 3 to 7 homes, and you're going from one house to the next, and you're deciding now if there's 15
you're going to start
market,
noticing everything. If I'm looking at a price range, I'm going to start noticing the differences in the flooring.
Well, what you'll notice are the major things.
Mm-hmm.
The major things. Is it bigger?
Yeah.
Is the condition as good? Am I going to have to put money into this house? Paint, flooring. But what you don't notice necessarily is layout, and because you look at you're trying to narrow it down to 1 or 2 houses.
But there's a big difference if you have granite countertops versus the not so nice, not granite.
If it's the same price range,
or if you have LVP versus linoleum, or if the carpet's worn out, or like those.
But if that house has all of those and it's priced for its condition, maybe it's a little bit bigger, or it has a bigger lot. And so as a result of that, they may say, oh, I can replace the granite countertops. I can take my laminate countertops and get granite. But then, you know what happens is I can't get a bigger lot. I can't get more square footage. I can't get a third bay in my garage. So I'm willing to pay the same price if I get other amenities versus that. So you have to make those adjustments. But buyers are looking at that, and they're going house to house to house to house. So as you price your house, you have to know your condition matters. And if you're pricing too high for your condition, they're going to call you out even from the pictures. They'll call you out from the pictures, and they're just going to disregard that house. Now, houses that are right on point, let's say the Pendings, they're right on point. They're going to come and they're going to go house to house to house. And they're like, okay, all of these houses have different amenities. And so what are the things that are most important to me? Well, maybe the condition of this house is not as good as the condition of this house. Okay, well, am I willing to give those things up for this one being bigger than this one being smaller? But if in the end it's the same house, same kind of square footage, same lot, same garages, one's just condition is not as good, they're just going to pick the other one because the other one's a better value. The one that is in better condition will get picked. And so you've got to take that into account. You've got a price based on your condition and your amenities. But what you can't do is base it on things that are personal preference. If you did something to your house and made a change to your house for your personal preference, you're probably not going to get any of that value back. Because buyers don't pay for things that you like, because you're looking for the one buyer that pays for what you like. Most buyers are going house to house to house, and they're looking at overall.
Well, and I just think that if I'm a buyer and I'm looking at all these houses,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm seeing a house that let's say that it's listed at $400,000.
Yeah.
And it's really got what I'm looking for. And then there's another house that it's kind of in the same condition, same overall everything, but it's listed at 425. I'm going to look at that and be like, okay, why? Tell me, like, they help me to understand why it's different. Maybe there's a reason, but maybe there's not. But a lot of
there
times,
might be a reason that the buyer doesn't care about.
And just so you guys are clear, I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not a real estate agent anymore.
But you are a consumer.
And you love to look at
a
real estate videographer, and as somebody who works in the industry, one of the things that I've noticed is that, like when people list their homes over the value of what maybe the market is willing to pay, thinking that they can always offer less than that.
Right.
What I've noticed in the last, because I've been doing this as a videographer basically full time for the last 12 years.
No.
And what I've noticed is that the people who are listing their homes outside, like over and above what the market value is, thinking that people are going to come in underneath that, like they can always offer less. I hear that all the time.
Yeah. They can always offer less. We've got to have room for negotiation.
People just don't look at those homes.
They just don't. They just move on to the house.
They just don't look at those homes.
Well, as a buyer, that's why you have to put yourself in the buyer's shoes.
Yeah.
When you're out looking for a home, you're not looking for overpriced homes.
But is that,
you're
I never
looking for homes that meet your budget and they're in the best condition in your budget.
When I was an agent, I was never a listing agent. I was just a buyer's agent. But in seeing what it's like for you as a listing agent to have these conversations, how difficult is it for a seller to put themselves in the buyer's shoes?
Well, and it's not as difficult as you think, but it doesn't mean they change their mind. It doesn't mean that they don't consider what's important to them and what they're going to use the money for and want to stick to their guns. And that is where it gets hard because in a week or two, when I come back and say, we don't have enough showings and we don't have any offers, we need to reduce the price. It's very disappointed. But if I have a seller who gets a bunch of showings and multiple offers in the first week, they're great, especially if we go above the price. So you just got to put yourself, but it's scary for a seller. It's scary for a seller because what they're worried is the FOMO. What if I would have asked for more, they would have paid more? Well, that is really where a seller gets into trouble.
Well,
if I asked for more, would they have paid more?
When we sold our house, I remember what it was like.
Yeah.
And wanting to get more money.
Yes.
Not wanting to list it underneath.
I don't want to underprice.
Because what if I want 400,000, but I list it for 375 because I'm afraid, but then what if that's all that I get?
All I get is 375.
Yeah, well, what if that's all I get?
This is the hard conversation.
Yeah.
It means that your house was worth 375. Because if it was worth 400 and we priced it at 375, that's the milkshake that brings all the boys to the yard. It should bring every single buyer, because at 400, there's houses you're competing with at 425.
Yeah.
But at 375, you should be the best possible house in your bracket. It should bring every single buyer that is out there into that house. And it should drive the price up through competition.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what doesn't is being overpriced. Because there is no competition and there's no people revolving door, none of those things. And it's very, very hard on a seller to know they've got to come down. But if they can believe an agent who talks them through and shows them the comparables, if they can count on and trust, that's gonna sell your house. That's gonna get you the most possible money. But what isn't is hoping someone will pay above market. So anyway, but this is all really stuff that we talk about individually. If you're looking to sell your home, we've got to sit down. This is the conversation, and you can decide to do whatever you'd like to do. But your advice, should come from your real estate agent, and hopefully can help you get there. But I'll tell you, if you're going to take my advice, price low. And I promise you're never going to be unhappy with the result of a low price. But if you price what you think is low, and you're not getting the results, which means you're not getting a ton of showings and a bunch of offers, I hate to tell you, you're not priced low. You're priced, you might even still be too high if you don't have a ton of activity. That's the way you tell. Pricing is an art. It's not a science. And the feedback is where you get your results of how you priced.
And just a quick heads up, so your camera has been intermittently turning on and off as we do this, because overheating,
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
which is
We got to
interesting.
hustle along.
We're still
then.
no, we're fine. I've had to reset it just for the
Yeah.
people watching, because like
Like,
it's
why does
just
it keep
what
turning
we're
off?
we're still new at this webcasting thing, and
You should see
we're
this whole
still-
place. It's set up like a spaceship in here.
we've got a lot going on. But
Okay,
anyway,
well,
just
let's
want to
keep moving
apologize
along.
for that. Yep.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Tommy. So let's talk about what's happening, some events in Southeast Idaho. There's some cool stuff coming up. If you're looking for something to do this week in Southeast Idaho, don't miss the farmers market downtown in Idaho Falls. It is every Saturday through November, and it is a highlight. It's right on the river. It's so fun. They closed
There's
down
so much fun. They
Memorial
have
Drive.
great fresh produce. They've got all kinds of great
They have
things down there.
food. They have
It was crazy
crafts.
time down
It
there
was
this morning.
crazy.
Yeah.
It is so popular. And sometimes they'll have music, but it is a really, really neat, the farmers market downtown in Idaho Falls, right on the river on Memorial Drive. Also, the big week, Chuckers baseball. It's opening week this week. So we have a semi-pro baseball team, the Idaho Falls Chuckers. Tip, if anybody's in the chat, do you know what a chucker is? I mean, know what a chucker is and why the Chuckers are our mascot.
I don't even know what a chucker is.
Chucker's a bird.
It's a bird.
It's a bird. So the Idaho Falls Chuckers. But it sounds fun because of baseball and chuck and woodchucks. Not what, it doesn't have anything to do with woodchucks.
When you said chucker, I was thinking of like maybe a woodchuck. Like
woodchuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much wood can a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Not what the Chuckers are. But opening day, and they always have fireworks. It's at
What does it
Malaluka
look
Field.
like?
A Chuckers?
Yeah.
Well, I can't describe it to you. It looks like this.
Here, I'm going to look up a chucker.
This is what a chucker looks like. But it's on Tuesday, and they always have fireworks at the end at Malaluka Field, and it's super fun. By the way, all of the links to find out, to get all information on these events are down below. And we have the Field of Honor that starts this week. And the Field of Honor is at Freeman Park, which is also a beautiful park right on the river. And they do, I think, 1,000 American flags, and it's so fun. So fun to go in and see. It begins on Saturday through Monday, Memorial Day. And it's a really, really fun event. And if you'll check out the event, there's things that they do throughout. And it's really neat at Freeman Park.
I just put up a picture of a chucker right now.
Oh, there it is. There's the chucker. There you go. Also, if you didn't know Freeman Park, little fun tip. Freeman Park actually used to be a garbage garbage pit, or what are they called? And so they've made a park over it. And so it's beautiful, right on the river. Who dumped garbage right next to our beautiful river? I don't know, but it is I wouldn't say it's reclaimed, but it's a park that is built on top of the garbage dumps, the garbage pit.
It seems like they do that a lot.
Yeah, so it's amazing. All right, also, the Rexburg Farmers Market has opening day on Friday. So they have a farmers market as well up in Rexburg. And I thought this was kind of fun. The annual Fuzzy Goat Show is in Rexburg Saturday through Monday.
Fuzzy Goat Show.
Fuzzy Goat Show.
What's
there
a fuzzy
is
goat?
So many fun activities during the Fuzzy Goat Show. I don't know what a fuzzy goat is, but I believe it's goats. And it's the Wyoming Goat Association comes and sponsors it. And it has neat games and events that you could do and go see the goats. It's pretty neat. It's free. So a lot of fun. It is Saturday through Monday in Rexburg, the Fuzzy Goat Show. So really, really fun. Really, really fun. All the links are below. Get your information and check out some of the fun things to do in Southeast Idaho this weekend. All right. Lastly, the nosy neighbors. We know we're passionate about local businesses. And this week you can go back onto our page and find 2 videos from this past week on 2 really cool local businesses. Yoga Wellness Connection. I loved that visit. It is such a cool place. It's right down by the river.
It's amazing.
And has so many classes and
good vibe down there.
So the environment is amazing. It's everything from getting centered to being active and dance.
They have
and
dance classes,
aerobic stuff,
and yoga, yeah, everything. It's beautiful.
Sound bath. I learned out what a sound bath is.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's where they play the singing bowls, and
they've got all
kinds of instruments.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So if you're looking for something to get involved with the community, and they call it the Yoga Wellness Connection because they're all about connecting people together.
Everybody's welcome.
Yep. Everybody's welcome.
Everybody's welcome.
And there's something for everybody. And they have some really great pricing, and you can get like a month-long of unlimited, or you can go class by class. So really, really cool.
They've got a summer special right now for 3 months. I forget how much it was.
Like $199 unlimited for 3 months.
Maybe and don't quote us. Not sure what.
We don't know.
But if you watch the video, you can know what the price is.
Find out. It was really fun.
Yep.
Then we also visited Mongillo Orthodontics, which was great. Dr. Mongillo, Anthony Mongillo, was really fun to visit with. I learned some things about orthodontics that I didn't know. I didn't know what the difference between board certified and not board certified is. And I didn't know that you don't, when a lot of other places, you don't see the orthodontist every time you go in. Mm-hmm. And you see Dr. Mongillo every time you go in.
Yep.
So a really fun and really beautiful office. And he just is the nicest guy.
Amazing. And I didn't know if and I just have never thought about this, but if your jaw is out of alignment, your teeth can wear differently and it can cause
issues,
problems. Because I've always thought of an orthodontist as, your dentist doctor.
Yeah.
Right?
Not like a specialized,
I just like braces, straightening out your teeth, but it's more than that.
And I was surprised that he said you could go to the orthodontist before you have a problem. Yeah. You should really be having your first orthodontics visit like when you're a toddler.
Yeah.
To make sure things are lined up and then save you from problems down the road. Anyway, who knew? I love it.
Idea. And the before and after pictures are amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So go and check those out. Both of those places, amazing for your personal wellness and really fun. And we have a full tour of both of those places in the back on the page. That's it. So that's kind of our weekly live. We've made it through the weekly live. Oh, I see Tommy standing up as we are trying to camera limping along to the very end. By the way, if you have enjoyed this or you're excited about finding out and keeping in the know on all things in Southeast Idaho, make sure you are subscribing and following the page and keep up with us. And if you'd like to get the monthly update in your email, which is where you get all the data and stats and slides, not just the video, but also the slides, right below, you just can go to jessica.viewidahofallshouses.com/newsletter. There's a link down in the description and you can get the newsletter. But of course, we'll have it every month here on our channels and you can keep up with it. So this is our week 2. I can't believe we've consistent. Consistency is the key. So thank you everybody for watching. And if you have anything that we need to get on updating events coming up, we'd love to know about that. And I'll throw them in. Throw them into
the comments. Let us know.
Yep. And you can always reach out to us. And of course, if I can help you sell your home or buy a home, or you just have questions about the market, or just want some reassurance, or just need to know how much to insure your house for, give me a call, drop me an email. Love to help you anytime. All right. That's it.
All right.
This has been Jessica Cardon, your nosy neighbor, keeping you